This episode of Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks is sponsored by Hobo Wolfman Records. In addition to being the home of the Fill-Ins, Home for the Day, and the Body Bags, all North Carolina bands, he also has a bunch of other shit on his website. A lot of it you don't really need, but it's cool as hell anyway, so you should buy some of it. It honestly never really surprises me the stuff that he throws up there from time to time. HoboWolfmanRecords.com. You are now listening to the Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks podcast, where we bring you conversations with people connected to the Carolinas underground music scene. With your host, Mike Phillips of Van Huskins.
I don't think I'll be able to talk my wife into it, but I want to get like knuckle tats someday. And I was thinking it'd be cool to have Gastonia, because that would fit on there.
Yeah. I've seen some pretty clever ideas.
A lot of them, like, it's like everything's been used, you know, it's hard to...
I saw one that said, "This hurt." I've seen Knuckles.
What's yours say?
Hard luck.
Okay.
I knew this girl once, she had last call on hers.
That's cool.
You
Game
know,
over.
Yeah.
People had that.
I think Bart Lattimore's got, I like his. Bonafide.
Oh, man, that's cool. That's a cool idea.
Yeah. I've seen Rock Hill, Fort Mill,
Rock Hill. So Gastonia, it don't look like, you know, it'd be gassed Onia, but, you know, fuck it. You can just do that the rest of your life.
So how you been doing, man?
I've been working. These are just some very challenging times, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of worry. There's a lot of concern. Next couple weeks are going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting until January as well.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. I'm not really looking forward to the next couple of weeks myself.
It's going to be, these are trying times, man.
Mm-hmm. I don't think no matter what happens, I'm just not expecting good things.
Yeah, I know. And that's sad. I mean, at
least for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be kind of an uneasy time, I think.
We should be fine, though. I mean, we're white men. This doesn't really affect us as it does to minorities, people of color, women. You know, we need to just get more people on board like us who can realize all the shit that's going on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're outnumbered by a bunch of dumbasses.
People
need to lose some of their ego that keeps them that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring the vibe down. But I'm just,
I always kind of just start off with just like general talk.
It's all good. It's you know, the vibe does need to be down at times because it helps people wake up. You become more aware of your surroundings and what's going on when your vibe is down. Yeah. How do I achieve that good vibe again? Well, let's talk about the shit at hand. Let's, you know, work through it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a lot of people act like they just want to gloss over it and like just wait till things go back to normal. But the thing is, the old normal wasn't right as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, I don't know if that's a road you want to go down right now.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, I mean, that's all perspective. That all depends on who you're asking, you know? People get complacent with their lives and say, well, you know, let's make America great. Well, it wasn't, though.
That's true.
Ask any Native American.
Well, like you said, for the white male, it's always been great.
Yeah, and there are times I hate to be lumped in, but I mean, I can't deny it. Yes, I am a straight white male, but at the same time, it's like, I'm aware of what's going on. It took me a while to see it, too. Mm-hmm. I turned it, for a while there, I didn't know as much about it as I do now. So
exactly.
I try to,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I try to tell people, educate yourselves.
A lot of that's why I was talking about having the ego earlier. It's like a lot of that stuff, it hurts to find out that you're like people with the cause of a lot of suffering, and your ego just doesn't want you to, you know, be like, "Oh man, that wasn't me. That's different," you know. But I mean, it's there. And you got to overcome it. I think lots of times to face, you know, the fact that, you know, lost my train of thought there. But
anyway, besides all that, like Halloween, you guys like were able to celebrate Halloween somewhat recently. That was cool. I didn't really do anything for Halloween this year.
Me neither.
We stay home.
Yeah, you had a little get together last week. A little outdoor.
Some of the neighbors. Fel and Pete came by yesterday. Mm-hmm. which we usually do practices on Saturdays. And it's a good thing that we're all acoustic, because we can do it all outside.
Yeah.
You know, weather was perfect for it yesterday. And it's cool because the apartment complex I live in, you know, got a little courtyard out front right next to the road.
Okay, yeah.
So we play outside in the courtyard, and so people walking their dogs back and forth will see us.
Yeah.
You know, they'll stop, and then next thing you know, we'll hear applause from the sidewalk. And we'll turn, oh, hey, thanks. So PK and Fel came by yesterday, and that was awesome because I love them both dearly.
Yeah.
They are tremendous people. And I've been playing music with PK longer than I have anybody else. Mm-hmm. We've been playing music together for about 8 years. It's like I'm at a point I can't see myself not playing with him.
Cool.
You know? Just no matter what endeavor I go after musically, no matter what avenue of music I travel down, I just always have PK there.
Yeah.
We work well together. There's good chemistry there. And then, you know, we've all heard Fel sing.
Yeah. Oh, she's amazing.
And when she asked me to, you know, sing for Smelly, I was like, man, that's a stone cold honor right there, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. And we'll talk about all that in a little bit, but we'll go ahead and get started with the episode, I guess. I mean, so I'm talking to Simon Strivelli. That's how you say your last name, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
From the Commonwealth, from Smelly Felly, from what other projects do you have currently?
Just Bottle of Smoke is the only other one,
Bottle of Smoke,
other than the two that you mentioned.
Yeah. Okay. So when you were a kid, what was one of the things, or one of your earliest musical memories, the thing that drew you into music?
My parents were always, they had a killer album collection too, and I didn't realize it back then, of course, but you know, the older I got, I'm like, wow, this is like, man, because my mother was like, she was more into like Earth, Wind and Fire, Chaka Khan, Prince, a lot of like R&B soul music, Stevie Wonder, stuff like that. She liked, but she liked, you know, Phoebe Snow and Bonnie Raitt and artists like that. My dad was more into rock. He was a big, you know, Dire Straits fan, Santana. And he played guitar.
Okay.
So I grew up around music.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's always been like a staple part of my upbringing. I have memories of me holding an acoustic guitar at like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
You know? And just growing up, there's always been like some kind of drum around the house or a tambourine somewhere or something. We had a piano. Music's always been a big, huge part of my life. And
You can play piano a little bit too, can't you?
not much.
Not much. But did you pick that up early on, or is that something you picked up later in life?
I kind of self-taught myself. And I couldn't read music, but I knew what the dots on the sheet music meant. I knew that Every Good Boy Does Fine, that thing, and then FACE, there's spaces in between, I believe. So I actually transcribed my own notes with a pencil, go into the songbooks that my parents had, just wrote down the notes next to it to help me learn how to play. And in doing so, I learned very little Mozart, a little bit of Beethoven, because I'm a huge classical music fan.
Okay.
And to me, it seemed right. That piano fits that style of music, and so it seemed like I had something to work on. Yeah. We didn't have any like Ray Charles songbooks or anything like that. You know, it was a lot of classical shit. It's always been a huge part of my life.
So your dad played guitar. There's a piano around the house. You had a big record collection. When did you really dive into that? I mean, because like I know when I was a kid, I listened to, like I had records and 8-tracks and stuff, but it was like Sesame Street stuff and
Disco Duck.
Yeah, Disco Duck and the Alvin and the Chipmunks and things like that. Yeah. I loved it, but it was Kiss that kind of like grabbed a hold of me and said, you know, this is rock and roll. This is what you want to be.
I was so disappointed the first time I heard them.
Yeah,
and I think I think
a lot of people are that way though.
I think I just carry that with me today.
Do you know which song you heard first or which album it was?
I think I don't know what album. But I think it was Rock and Roll All Night. Yeah. And I was just like, these guys look demonic. These guys look like they can rip your soul out. Yeah. And here they are talking about rock and rolling all night and partying every day. And I was just like, it doesn't fit the demographic. Yep. Yeah. It really doesn't.
That's like we were talking about Iron Maiden last week and how their icon, how would you say that word? Their graphics. There's a word. It's too big for me to use. But how their graphics just did not portray the type of music that they actually were.
See, I don't know if I agree with that for Maiden. I think, especially at that time, Maiden was like, when they had the crazy Eddie on their album covers, like, that was heavy back then. I mean, that was I'm not saying there wasn't like Venom around and shit, but I mean, I don't know. I think that fit. Now, Kiss, that's another story. And Kiss is kind of, they have some really good shit and some really god awful shit.
Yeah, they do. And that goes back to the 70s too. It's not like they became this awful band in the 80s.
Yeah.
They wrote some awful shit in the 70s too. Like every one of those records has one or two songs on it. It's like skip. Yeah. They just got more to the skippable part in the 80s, but man, they put out some real gems in the 80s too. So that's another story for another podcast.
Sorry,
this isn't something good for you. So just kidding. I gotta give some love to Alex.
Oh, I love Alex.
But so what was it that grabbed a hold of you as far as like rock and roll goes, or that sort of started you on your path?
That's a good question, man. It's just something I've gravitated towards. Mm-hmm. But like I love all kinds of music, all genres. And like I said, I grew up with there was a lot of soul in the house. But there was a lot of diversity as well. I mean, my folks had a David Bowie album or two and stuff. Just stuff that they liked. No particular genre. And I don't know. I remember being back in like 6th grade, started listening to like Motley Crue and Rat. A lot of the glam bands from back then.
That's about the time a lot of us started to get into that. I think.
Yeah,
you make that jump from elementary school to middle school.
It was like a back door with metal.
Yeah,
I'd see these shirts, and you mentioned Maiden, dude. I used to draw Eddie on the back of my notebooks.
Oh yeah,
because I loved Maiden.
Yeah,
I really got into that, and I don't know. I always liked the artwork of the albums and everything, and but the t-shirt. I had friends wearing t-shirts. Started junior high, and then I got into skateboarding. Mm-hmm. See, I grew up in a small town though, where all the
where are you? Are you from? Where are you from? I know
I grew up in Maggie Valley.
Okay,
but I lived in Florida too, and I was younger than that. Born in Indiana, so I've been around.
Okay, yeah.
But
how long did you live in Indiana? Was that like just real early?
2 years old.
Okay, yeah.
My mother and father got divorced. He stayed up there. She moved my brother and I down to Florida to live with her mother, and that's where she met my dad today. Mm-hmm. Technically, he's my stepdad, but he adopted my brother and I. He's been there for my entire life. He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. I love him to death. Yep. And my biological father has moved to Alaska since. I still talk with him. Mm-hmm. I went and visited him back in 2004, I believe, up in Anchorage.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That was cool. And it's different because he was in Vietnam, Marine, and it's like if I had grown up in Indiana with him as my dad, how different would my life be?
Oh yeah.
Would I still have the same mindset that I have today? Because he's pretty liberal. He's like, hey, you know what? I fought in this shit.
Yeah.
That was fucked up. Now I come back, I see how we're being treated by the government, and he's a good guy too. He's just a trip, though. Alaska itself is a trip.
I bet so.
I bet.
Go. I advise it.
I'd love to go someday.
It's really cool, man. But I'm getting off on a tangent here.
They're always fine. I can edit them or I can leave them if they work.
Cut. Dead air.
As the years go by, I'm growing active, looking back on my past. Used to be acting like you watch the time as it flies on. Seconds expire as the years go by. Time goes by. Bloodshot eyes in the mirror, scratch a razor for my face. But I'm still here, a souvenir. Another time and a better place. As the years go by, so got a lot to learn, be the fight deep inside. Every now and then one of us will pass. It's for a fallen friend for whom I raise my glass as the years go by. I'd like to just look back on my past. Used to be a kid like you. Watch the time as it flies. I'm just saying it is my hands and years go by. As the time goes by, 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 as the time goes by.
I found punk rock through, like, metal. Mm-hmm. There was a back door, and I took
Metal
it.
and skateboarding, probably, like you said.
And growing up in that town, all the punks and metalheads hung out together.
Yeah.
There was no, division in the scene.
You're just happy to find somebody
Yeah.
close enough to you.
Oh, you have long hair? I don't care. You have a mohawk? Hey, I don't care. You like skateboard? Yeah. You get high? Yeah. Want to listen to records? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And it was cool because it was us against all the rednecks in the school, We were the outsiders, and we just wanted to be left alone, play music and whatnot. I was listening to metal, and I knew a lot of my friends that took that dive from metal into punk were making fun of me for still listening to Motley Crue and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you can't listen to those guys. It's like, man, I don't know. I'm dumb.
That's the thing. It's like when you're younger, you're kind of like, oh, this is silly. But when you get older and you don't give a shit what anybody thinks, you're like, that shit's awesome. You know, like Motley Crue.
I like Rat to this day.
Yeah.
I still like Rat.
Yeah.
Oh, Rat's good.
Yeah, Rat. I think Motley Crue was one of those bands I never really stopped liking, but I did, there's some stuff I listen to now that I listened to back then that when I got into punk rock, it's like, oh, well, I can't listen to that shit anymore.
That's how
Whitesnake.
Yeah.
And now Whitesnake's one of my favorite bands. I just love them. They're so good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like, you should stop giving a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of getting older there.
I know, right?
But you don't on the inside.
So, yeah, I heard bands like, I think Minor Threat was one of the first punk bands I ever heard.
Mm-hmm. We're like a lot similar, because I got into punk from metal too, like from seeing Metallica or Misfit shirts.
Yeah.
And so we're just like the same deal, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
That's what I'm finding. We all have these similar stories. Yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, Jeff brought up another band last week when we were talking to him. Twisted Sister. That's another band that grabbed a hold of me.
I liked Twisted Sister.
It was that was still when I was still liking a lot of whatever was on MTV, which at the time, MTV actually played some cool shit, thinking back to it. Of course, now we'd think that because we grew up in the 80s.
Headbangers Ball, man.
Yeah. But, even before that, Go-Go's and the Cars and the Blondie and just bands like that were all over MTV.
Kind of stuff, even Duran Duran and stuff.
Yeah, Duran.
I like them all.
Yeah, I love
back
Duran
then, MTV actually played good stuff, but then Twisted Sister comes along and it's like, oh, this is a little bit heavier and it's fun and everything else. That was one of those other things. It was kind of like, besides Kiss, Twisted Sister was that middle step between Kiss, Twisted Sister, and then Alice Cooper was what grabbed a hold of me. But it was, it was that. And so it was funny that it's all that glam side of rock.
Yeah. Well, Eric had mentioned Metallica, and I was totally on board with them too. Mm. I remember seeing pictures in magazines, and James Hetfield would always have a Sam Hain sticker on his guitar or a Misfits shirt on. Yeah. Or something. It was like, well, hey, if these guys like them, I'm going to like them too, probably.
And then they put out that Garage Days record, and they played the Misfits, and it's like, yeah, these songs are bad as hell. I want to hear more of that.
I bought Garage Days Revisited on cassette the same day I bought Misfits Earth AD on cassette.
Yeah.
Just from seeing Metallica wear those Misfits shirts.
Right.
And I got the Misfits, cassette, and I'm like, listening to it, I'm like, man, is there something wrong with this shit?
It sounds like it's recorded in a trash can.
I was like, it's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Because you just said Minor Threat.
Yeah.
And I think I'd bought Minor Threat and Ramones maybe on the same day.
Ramones, yeah.
And I was more into the Minor Threat at that time, coming from metal.
Right.
Because it was, so fast, and the Ramones are a little bit, too rock and roll, I guess, for me.
But I dug that. It's like, and that's one of the things I love about the Ramones. Like, hey, I can listen to this because I used to work with my dad a lot. He's a contractor, so he used to take my brother and I to some of the sites just to, help hammer up drywall and stuff, And he'd always be playing music.
Yeah.
On a little tape deck he'd bring with him. And I'd get the Ramones, like, my dad will like this. Mm-hmm. It's something we can both agree on, It's like, he was pretty open-minded. He let me play a lot of my music.
Yeah, I think I learned pretty early on, like, where I could push my limits, too, with, like, playing music in the car. So I find that common ground.
2 Live Crew.
Well, my mother didn't exactly agree with my father on a lot of the stuff I listened to. He'd be cool with it, but she'd be like, no, turn it off.
Yeah.
I kind of just kept most of it away from my parents. Like, didn't after I learned not to say anything about it, because every time they'd be like, "You don't need to listen to that shit," you know. So it's just better just not to even mention it or try to play it around them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents they didn't really like the music I listened to. And, like, well, now my dad understood it a little bit because, like I said, he had Alice Cooper records in his collection. Mm. So he understood it a little bit. My mom really didn't like it because she was always a little bit more of a Christian. And she wasn't a churchgoer, but she was always identifies herself as a Christian because she doesn't really believe in what the church does. She sees a lot of hypocrisy there. So I love my mom for that. But anyway, so she never really agreed with it, but they never forbid me from listening to it. Or they never took it away from me. They let me go to concerts and stuff. Like, they didn't let me go see Iron Maiden, but they let me go see Van Halen. So, that was cool. I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, just basically saying that I appreciate the fact that my parents allowed me the space to explore it.
Yeah, no, that is cool, and I think that's healthy for everybody. It's like nowadays, every parent just gives their kid a smartphone, and you're taking away the kid's freedom to. Maybe they want to be an artist. Maybe they want to be a musician. Maybe we don't know because they're just consumed with.
I don't really think about that a whole lot, but that's true. I wonder how many kids these days have wasted talents.
Yeah,
because they were brought up on technology,
right.
And they're addicted to it.
Yeah,
basically. I see my daughter; she's kind of addicted to it. I don't know. She might have some hidden talents somewhere. She's a smart girl though. Mm-hmm. She does great in school, but she expressed an interest in playing music at one point, but just never. We messed around with it, and then she just kind of got bored with it pretty quick. I don't know, but there is. That's a good point. I don't think about that.
Yeah, I try not to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's depressing because it's like, well, shit. When I'm old and gray, where's the music going to come from?
Mm-hmm. I think that's why I do really appreciate and try to help support and promote bands like Wilma and True Lilith and the Wallburns, those kids that are out there doing the thing.
Yeah.
Because they seem to be fewer and farther between now. But then again, I think there are more kids playing than we realize. It's just... some kids are still finding it. Some kids are still doing it.
Yeah, it brings a smile to my face whenever I go in Sam Asher Guitar Center. I see like a young, 13, 14-year-old kid there with an instrument.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, please carry it on.
Or like see Death of August play and see those girls just rip on the guitar. I mean, just rip on guitar. It's like, I can't do that these days. I wish I had that much talent.
They're so good.
They're so good.
I've seen a couple of the School of Rock shows in Charlotte. Those kids are pretty amazing. Like young virtuosos.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, so you say you kind of picked up, at least had a hands-on experience with instruments pretty early. But when did you get serious about playing guitar and playing music?
I don't think I'm serious now. No.
I guess that's debatable for all of us.
Well, like I said, there was always instruments laying around the house, and acoustic guitar, whatever. And if anything, even if I didn't know what the hell I was doing, I'd always be making some kind of noise on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I remember my dad had a bass that he bought at a flea market, like back in the 60s. And he handed it down to me. He gave it to me. And I was like, I think about 13, 14 years old. It was a Mosrite. Ventures model.
Yeah.
It had the sunburst finish and it was the really thin neck and everything. Of course, back then I didn't know the value of it. So stickers all over it, I met some dudes at my high school that moved from Louisiana. They were in a metal band down there, but they wanted to bring their talents to Maggie Valley. The one guitarist, Don Holloway, great guy. At the time, he was the best guitar player I'd ever actually seen in my life because he could shred. And so I joined their band. He showed me a lot. He showed me a lot of what basically how to play bass.
Yeah.
And the band was called Stormchild, which I think to this day is a badass name.
Stormchild.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's metal. That's great. That screams metal.
It does. And that's what we were. He had I think he had he had a BC Rich. I don't know. It wasn't a Warlock. It was one of those star-shaped ones, And his brother Mike was the singer. They were good dudes, man. And they taught me a lot. And so I guess I just started experimenting. I had a keyboard, like a Yamaha or something, and I used to sit and there's like the bass keys you could like set to like drum beats.
Yeah.
And just and you could program it. So I'd sit there and program a beat and then play over it, record myself, and then play that tape back with another tape deck, recording that.
Oh yeah.
So it was like like a chain of tape decks recording, and just keep playing over and over it and everything. Because there's nothing to do in that town. Yeah. I didn't want to sit around and get high all day with because I used to do that a lot when I was a kid. Yeah. I think one of the bands that really influenced me was The Cure. Okay. I was a huge fan of The Cure. I still am. I think Robert Smith is I think he's a lazy guitar player, but he's efficient, and he's got his own sound. It's undeniable, and how their music is so textured and layered, I can really appreciate that. Yeah. And so I'd learn, and the bass lines were pretty solid. Oh yeah. So I could sit there and like play the bass line, then learn the keys over that and everything. Next thing you know, I have a whole Cure song. Yeah. Recorded with my tape deck chain. Oh wow. And so I just started getting more and more into it, man. And the funny thing is like even back as far as like junior high, I wanted to be playing music. I always saw myself as an adult playing music. I thought I'd be a lot, have a little bit more money than I do now in doing that, Yeah, I think at one point when I first got my guitar, I thought that would be, I was going to be like Motley Crue or, the bands I listened to at the time. I talk about this quite a bit. But when I realized I wasn't going to do that, I was going to play punk rock. Like, there was still that time when I thought, oh, maybe I'll still make it. But I just knew that there was much less of a chance that I'd make it playing punk rock. But you start to see those bands that actually, like, they don't make it, but they make enough of a living that they can tour and they can play. Yeah. I always just thought that would be cool. Oh, I agree. And it was like, for a long time, it's like I watched, videos on MTV. I didn't think there were venues smaller than arenas.
I know. I'm the same way.
I'd watch it and I was like, oh man, I get to play in front of all these people when I get older. Yeah. That's all you got to do is learn how to play and you can be playing like that.
No, you can play in front of 12 people if you want to.
I remember going to the Milestone, like when I was young and just being like, what they're going to play in here? This is the living room.
The dressing room.
Yeah. But then you realize when you're older, all the little dives are the best places.
Oh, absolutely. And I like floor shows. I love playing on the floor. You're right there with the people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't stand it when there's a drum riser either. I want the drummer to be right there beside me.
It's like, I got to stand out here. Yeah. You too.
I like how Mike Watt puts the drummer out front.
Oh, yeah. He gets to do that. If I went to a club and tried to do that, sound person would be like, nah, bro. Come on. I ain't got no clout to do that yet. Get Ben to turn around backwards like Brett.
Aloha Broha did a whole set like that once.
Oh, yeah?
They all turned back and sang to the Milestone wall.
Oh, wow. So what was you talked about the first band that you were in? Stormchild. You don't have any recordings of that anymore? Oh God! Was there ever any recordings, or was it just one of those?
He's lying.
I don't have any, but I can contact the Holloway boys.
We don't necessarily have to get it. I was just wondering if you might still have it.
No, I don't. I don't even have a copy of the punk band I was in when I moved to Greensboro. We were on the radio and everything. Had like a radio interview on one side because it was a college radio station.
Yeah. What was the name?
Gobstopper.
Gobstopper.
I think I remember that name.
Everlasting Hardcore.
That's so cool.
3-piece. And I met these dudes. I was living in Greensboro. They were from Florida. Chip and Jason. The three of us formed a band. Chip on drums, and Chip went on to become the drummer for Patriot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chapel Hill Oi Band, and they've toured Europe and everything. Yeah. Chip's been very successful with his music. He's a tattoo artist now, and he's also very good at that.
Was that your next band after that?
That was, pretty much. Because as soon as high school was done, I didn't graduate. Even my mother's like, just get your GED. Don't bother going back there.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Nice.
I know. She was really cool. So I went and got my good enough diploma. And I worked for about a year or so at one of the local restaurants back home, and then one of my best friends at the time was like, "Hey, I'm moving to Greensboro. You want to come with me?
Yeah.
Got a place up there." I said, "Yeah." And it started then, and so I met Chip and Jason. We formed Gobstopper, and had a little bit of trouble with the law, which kind of broke the band up for a little bit, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Is that not something you want to elaborate on now for shock value?
I don't think it's really my place to.
Gotcha.
Because I wasn't the one.
He wasn't the party involved.
Gotcha. So
Right.
I'm always wanting to hear the dirty part of the grit.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's my place to.
Understood.
But like I said, Chip went on to join Patriot, and he was very successful with them. I moved to Charlotte and joined a band called Reflex Aggression.
I remember that name. I never saw you guys.
I played one show with them, and that was at the old Jeremiah's, right there off 74.
Yeah, we played there one time.
And we played
Steakhouse.
We played with Wicked Ways.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Gideon.
Yep.
Reflex Aggression was like that sick of it all style, Because I supposed to graduate in 90, so I moved to Charlotte like 91.
This is right around the same time that I started to get aware of the Charlotte music scene, or the local music scene.
Yeah.
Went to the Milestone, I think, for the first time in 91.
I'd gone there too a few times at that point, because I was just like, I was pretty balls deep into punk rock at this point. When hardcore, you had the late 80s hardcore, sick of it all, Agnostic Front, Use It Today, Gorilla Biscuits, all those good bands coming out at that time.
Yeah.
And so we kind of, honed our sound after that style for Reflex Aggression. And then, I got married. The band broke up. They formed a band called War Prayer.
Okay, I remember that name too.
Tim Market was the singer, and Tim committed suicide within like 2 years of, I'd say around maybe 94 or something.
Yeah.
93, 94, Tim committed suicide. He hung himself in his closet. Damn. And it was, and he was a great guy. We never saw it coming. Sometimes you can tell with people if they're like really depressed and like, you want to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
And I know that's not always the best thing to do, but you worry about them. Mm-hmm. You couldn't tell that with Tim.
Yeah.
He was just, he was pulling pranks, and he was always, he used to go into grocery stores and up to the magazine rack. You know how they had the cologne pages that you open?
Yeah.
Just open them up and just start rubbing them all over himself. Next magazine. Oh. And he'd be walking out just smelling like a damn perfume store. He was a funny guy, man. I miss him. And so I got married. I was married for 13 years. Mm-hmm. So basically I took a 13-year hiatus from playing music. Yeah.
When I got married, we were still playing some during that time. But we weren't. Because I got married in 2000. And that's, I think, about the time the Accidents stopped playing so much in Charlotte. And then Saunders quit for a couple of years. We didn't really do a whole lot during that time, I don't think. And then Saunders came back. So for a couple of years we played. But then there was like a big 7-year gap between me playing and part of that time I wasn't even married. It was just, hadn't gotten back into it yet.
Yeah.
But that'll do it for you. Sometimes getting married, having kids, things like that. Just trying to settle down.
Domesticated, yeah. And I was living the dad life, and moved to Florida. I miss playing music, though. That was one thing.
Did you stay involved in scenes at all, go out to shows? I
still listen to my CDs, but I wasn't playing. My wife at the time, she didn't really care for it.
Same here. Mine didn't care for it either. So, I'd still go out to a show every now and then, but just very rarely.
Yeah, same.
A lot of times that was I'd go see AC/DC or Kiss.
Yeah.
But then every now and then I'd go see Semi-Pro in Charlotte or something like that.
If a band came through Tremont that she knew I liked, we'd go together. Because she loved music, but she wanted to be involved with doing stuff with me.
Yeah.
And she had told me, she's like, I can't play. I'm jealous. Oh. But she loves music. We moved to Florida in 2001, and we'd see some killer bands. We'd go to shows together.
Yeah.
And they had Rockabilly Ruckus down there, which we both like rockabilly. Yeah. We get it. It's the same chords, the same progression. We know it. Yeah. EAB. Okay, sure. But it was really cool.
There's good rockabilly, though.
There is good
Definitely
rockabilly.
good
There's a band called the Dempseys out of Memphis that are hands down one of the best live shows I've ever seen. And they were in Walk the Line. They were the backup band for. Is that mine?
If you want to.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not going to force you to drink it. You know, if you feel like you need to or whatever. But
They were
offer if I'm going to be drinking.
I appreciate that. They were the backup band for Elvis, and also and 3 guys. Check them out online. They've broken up since then, but they're called the Dempseys, and they're fucking amazing. And so, her and I were really into that kind of stuff. But as far as me going out and playing, nah. I gotta be a dad. I gotta go to work. I
got a lot of that too. Like she'd get jealous just from band practice night. You're just going to hang out with your friends. Like, well, it is my friends, and I am hanging out with them, but we're playing music. So, like, every week, why don't you cancel practice? Why don't you just stay home? Every week. And if I'd stay home, what we would do was sit on the couch and watch TV. She didn't really care. She liked music, but she liked country music and stuff. She didn't like anything I liked. Closest we got was she wanted to go see No Doubt, and I was like, okay, I can do that.
So keep that in mind next time I want to go to a show, because I went and saw No Doubt.
I can do that. I don't want to go see.
I encouraged her to go out with her friends, and
I did the same. It was just and I get it. I get it. I didn't like it, but I understand it. Because there are some things that can come along with being in a band, and then some just will never get over the jealousy of what could happen, or the fact that you're on stage and playing.
It was understood where she stood and where I wanted to play, and she's like, really? Okay.
She would have probably let you play if she could somehow play with you or something.
I guess so.
Yeah. But she didn't have any.
But she
couldn't play anything. Yeah. She could just sing, maybe.
Maybe.
So I mean, I can kind of see that, but that's kind of all. I see why you wouldn't like that.
When that kind of stuff happens, we all make our own decisions. Like it wasn't like I felt like she forced me to stop playing music. I did feel like she didn't support it, my playing music. So I sort of eventually gave up, but it was my decision to be a family man.
Right, absolutely, and that's how it was with me. It's like, well, I mean, she's right. The time I'm spending, going playing music with my friends, I could be helping, raise a family. Mm-hmm. So I did that. Yeah, and like I said, it made sense. It's like, well, you're a dad, do dad things, jokes included.
And now that you're like you can just become wild and crazy and free again.
That's too much energy, man.
That's a lot of energy. Like my daughters are 22, and Sydney will be 19 next month in December. So I'm at that age where I've kind of gotten back
He's a fucking wild man. Let me tell you.
I'm not a wild man, but I've gotten back that freedom to do the things that I want to do.
Right.
Because half the time I'm asking them if they want to do something. No, I've got plans. Going out with my boyfriend or whatever.
I wouldn't know where to begin.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It's like the world has kept moving, and I've stayed in this spot.
Yeah.
And then finally, so I went out.
That's why I'm doing this, because I like my musician friends.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go out there and party all the time or anything. So this keeps me sane and gives me something to do and keeps me at home.
I don't know what to do. I mean, what?
I miss going to shows, but I don't want to go out there and party. I'm just not. I don't want to be a wild man again.
I do miss going to shows. When like I said, we moved away for a while. We lived in Florida, which I loved living down there. Mm-hmm. People talk shit about Florida a lot, but I loved it. We were 5 minutes from the beach, and I love Disney World. So we'd go to Disney World maybe 2-3 times a month.
Yeah.
Take the kids, go there for a weekend. I made good money down there. It was just cool. We couldn't afford living down there, though, because we were just renting, and it was either buy or get out.
Yeah.
All of Florida's getting like that. There's all these apartments becoming condos, and so it's like once your lease is up, you got to go or buy. It's like, can't afford this, so we came back.
What part of Florida was it? You were
Bradenton.
Bradenton.
Yeah, right south of Tampa.
Okay.
St. Pete.
Gotcha.
Right down the Gulf Coast.
Okay. Yeah. I lived in Jacksonville for a couple of years, but I was real little.
Yeah.
I remember a lot about it, but we went to Disney World quite a bit too when I was a kid. But my dad was in the Navy down there.
I lived in West Palm when I was younger because when my mother moved from Indiana with my brother and I, she moved to West Palm, which is where my grandmother and all her side of the family is. I'm pretty familiar with Florida. But, yeah, we came back and things weren't going well. Went through the separation, all that. Then started getting, like I said, got a guitar now.
Yeah.
Where do I go from here? Can you learn the shit that you learned back in high school? Yeah, probably. Yeah. A lot of it was muscle memory, so. I don't know. I lived in Concord for a while. I was seeing somebody who was living up there. So I didn't really resurface into Charlotte until about 2010, I'd say. We moved back from Florida in about 2006. I was living in Concord until, about 2010. Then I started slowly resurfacing back into Charlotte, seeing what was going on with the scenes. Glad to see Tremont was still standing. Mm-hmm. But the whole Charlotte scene had just, blown up. There were all these new bands, so many different genres of bands and everything, and it was just so different from what it was when I was there, back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was 2010. I was pretty much completely out of it at that time. I might have been aware of a few things that were going on. Like, I know a Baby Shaker. I don't know if they were going on at that time or not, but I know the bands. I remember because I kept up with it through Creative Loafing and stuff like that, but I didn't really get out to see those bands. So I was aware of some stuff going on, but I just, if you ask me about some bands from that time, I have no idea. Baby Shaker, were they playing then?
It was Scott Weaver, I believe.
Yeah. So, because when we stopped playing in 2007, it was 2014 before I played again. And like I said, during those times, I saw a handful of shows.
Yeah.
So when you started, like you said, 2010 was when you started to kind of resurface. Were you playing in a band at that time, or just going out?
No.
Going out into the scene.
I wouldn't even consider going out. It's like my son was living with me, and he was, going through high school, and so
Cat scratching at the door.
Pardon?
I said the cat's over there scratching the door. She feels left out.
So he was finishing up high school, and he was living with me at the time. Which I was there, for him during the week, and he would go with his mother on weekends. Mm-hmm. Which I'm like, that works for me, because that weekends I'm off.
Yeah.
So I can go out and, see what's up, see what's going on. And I started going out more, ran into a bunch of people that I had been friends with for years that I hadn't seen in a while, and reconnected with them. But, I wanted to start playing music, and I guess I just didn't know enough people to ask. Yeah. I was at Common Market one night. This is back when they had the shows in the center of Common Market. Remember when they did that?
No,
I never saw one up there.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in, before they built that little table right there, that counter, they said cleared all.
Oh my goodness!
That whole space out and have shows right there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I saw No Anger Control there, and I'm like, fuck, Charlotte has punk rock? What is this? And I was just taking pictures and everything. I posted on Facebook, and everybody's like, dude, that's No Anger Control. How do you not know who that is? I'm like, this is the first time I've seen them.
Yeah.
I've never seen them before, and they're fucking killing it, And I was elated that there was punk rock in Charlotte that sounded like this.
Yeah.
And I was determined. I said, I gotta get somebody. I gotta find some people. And then I started playing Ghosts of Bannockburn. I was asked because I've known Will for a long time, and he knows that I share the same love for Celtic music as he does.
A father where you so sad the sprite Easter morn, when Irishmen are parading glad of the land where they were born. On Sunday say your memories see a fair of distant days, when being just a boy like you I joined the IRA, where all the lads that stood with me when history was made. Oh, Cramacree along the sea, the boys of the Owl Brigade.
So is that more? I never saw that band. Was that more traditional style? Or
No,
was it
more. It was like a dropkick murphy style.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I think I've listened to it
and
one time.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun show when I saw you. I saw you maybe once. Maybe
At
it was a
Re-Raw,
little fun.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun show.
it was a fun band.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, we don't have to write anything. We're just going to kind of resurrect these traditional songs from years ago and just put our
punk rock them up.
I mean, that's like good party music for like adults or something.
Yeah. And then if somebody hears a familiar song or two, then they get involved and it's cool. And that's where I've known PK from, because he played with Ghosts as well. And so, but it just got to a point. It's like, man, I gotta break. I want to still keep doing this because I enjoy playing so much. And all I did for that band was play acoustic. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know mandolin or banjo yet at the time.
Okay, yeah.
So I just played acoustic guitar. But I said, man, I got ideas. I've been writing lyrics down. I've been writing paragraphs, verses, whatever you want to call them. Got to find some people. And I saw All Rise.
All Rise, yeah. That was Richie was in that band.
Yeah, Richie and Dan and Tyler. And I was impressed with him because it was solid. Mm-hmm. You know, I had known who Richie was because I met him at Tommy's one night, back at the old Tommy's. I was working security one night for one of Moss's birthday events. And I remember seeing Richie. I'm like, this guy.
He's one of those guys that you're going to see him.
He looks like an asshole.
And you're going to remember him every time you see him because he's going to talk to you.
He looks like an asshole. I told him.
He does, kind of. But he's also a very friendly guy, and he's going to talk to everybody that's there.
I love Richie. I love Richie to death. He is a brother to me. And but he does. He looks like... I saw him walk in with his hat backwards and everything. Like, God, this guy's going to be fucking trouble. I know it. Yep. You know? And he looks like an asshole.
He won't care that you say that.
No, I've said it to his face. and I met him at the end of the night. Jamie introduced us, and Richie was just all smiling. You know how Richie is.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, dude, I thought you were going to be an asshole all night.
I said he's like the friendliest guy in the world. Go talk to everybody there.
And so I already knew Richie.
I wish I was as friendly as him. That's why.
And we had a show where All Rise, the Fighting Jamesons from Virginia had come down, and Ghosts of Bannockburn were playing on that bill. We were opening for them. We wanted another band, so we asked All Rise if they wanted to do it. Of course, they said okay, and I about canceled the show because my mother had just passed away like the night before. But I still played it. I still showed up and played a dedicated show to my mom and everything. And
I probably would have done the same thing. It would have been something I felt like
everybody's like, you don't have to play. You know, it's like, no, dude, I know. Trust me, I need to play.
Yeah.
This is my therapy. Yeah. Let me mourn. Let me grieve. You know, the way I see fit for me.
Yeah.
And I really got to know Richie and Dan that night. Like I said, they opened. I don't know. I remember seeing something that Tyler had posted something on Facebook about how he was looking for new guys for All Rise because he had booked a tour and Dan and Richie couldn't make it or something. Okay. So he wanted to get new guys who could actually go on tour because, you know, they have jobs and they have to work and whatnot. And so I even posted or commented on his post saying, well, if you're done with him, can I have him?
Yeah.
And he put a little laughing or liked it or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm being serious, dude. And but no, he unfriended me about that shit. I guess. I don't know why. I was like, I told you I was going to.
Yeah.
Because I approached them both.
Complete transparency.
Yeah. I mean, you even liked it. And I
can't take it back.
I saw Dan at Common Market one day. I said, look, I'm thinking about starting something. Would you be interested? He's like, when and where? I'm like, cool. I'll keep you posted. I saw Richie not too long ago. And Richie's like, man, I don't know what's going on with All Rise. I'll just, I'll have to let you know where I stand. Because I want to, if I'm not with All Rise, and I want that closure. I want to know and everything. And, and I guess the rest is history.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking for another guitarist. I did not bring Dan Gardner into the mix. I did not seek him out.
Yeah.
they brought him to practice, and he plays guitar. I didn't even know who the guy was. So like when I first met him was when our first practice, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But I needed. See, I write for 2 guitars, though. That's a thing. And a lot of people dismiss rhythm guitarists. I'm like, 2 words, Malcolm Young. Come on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not against them, but I do think that it's fun to play as a 3-piece. And it's a little more challenging. And you can add that second guitar in on recordings.
You can, but you can't really replicate that.
Yeah.
When you play live, unless you're fucking Pete from Bouncing Soul, because I've watched him play live, and that motherfucker is all over the neck.
Yeah.
And he makes that guitar sound exactly like it does on the fucking album.
Yeah.
One of my favorite guitarists. Mm-hmm. He's amazing. But so I have, I had all these riffs and everything. I was like, okay, well, I say all these riffs on 3-4 chords. Okay, let's be honest here.
Yeah, I call them riffs too. I mean,
you've heard the same company. Trust me.
You've heard our early shit. When he was no longer in the band, we had to really change our sound. I still look for another guitarist. That's why we had John Dickinson play with us for a little bit.
Yeah,
and I love John as a musician, as a friend, great guy. But I've always like his style. That would work very well with us.
Yeah.
He played a few shows I thought went well, but John,
he's just not into it. I don't think
John has his life going on.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of shit going on his head, and understandably so.
And when a musician wants to play, they're going to play, and when they don't really want to play, they're
I try to give everybody their space. Mm-hmm. You do what you need to do. Because I mean, who the fuck am I? I'm not a priority. I don't see myself as one. So everybody has their own thing going on.
Yeah.
And you got to accept it. I mean, whether you like it or not, you just got to accept it.
Yeah.
So we've really tried to adapt just being a 3-piece.
So when you guys first started out, when you first played your first show, were you a 3-piece or 4-piece?
We were 4.
Was that when Dan was playing with you?
The Dans, yeah.
Yeah. Where'd you play your first show at?
Milestone.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, I think we may have opened for Biggie Stardust.
Okay. And this is the Commonwealth, because I don't think we've mentioned the name yet.
This was Commonwealth. That may have been our first show. I think Jeff may have had a hand in getting us on that show.
Okay.
It was some kind of Biggie Stardust event. I believe that was our first show. Because why not hook onto a good name if you're gonna for your first show?
What year was this?
I don't know. It was maybe about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Probably a little longer than that, because I think
maybe 6.
2014 is when we started playing, and one of our first shows was with you guys, or one of our early shows. I think you guys have been playing for a little bit.
Did we play with them at
Common Market?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We played the Common Market together.
Our first show was at.
We played Common Market together a few times.
Yeah, our first show our first show in Charlotte, or our first show as Van Huskins, was Snug Harbor with Secret Hospital. And Robert Childers and somebody else.
I'm
trying to remember. That Common Market show was pretty early, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so it had to have been at least 6 years ago, I think.
About
2014.
Sounds about right.
And you also played in the Chalkies too.
Oh yeah, that was really fun.
Band.
Again, dismiss the Chalkies.
But with the Commonwealth. Do you write most of the songs for that? I think Dan writes.
Dan writes whatever Dan sings. Dan is what Dan has written.
Okay, yeah. It started off though as you being the primary songwriter, correct?
Yeah, but Dan was always like coming up with ideas, and he seemed a little apprehensive about them at first. It's like, did you not write for All Rise? I mean, because dude, step up.
Yeah,
if you got them, let's see what you got.
Well, I used to write for The Accident sometimes. I mean, some of our songs, usually the ones I would sing on would be the ones that I wrote. Now, I'll start jamming on stuff in the practice room, and a lot of times it's stuff we could probably use, but he just brings so many songs that I'm just like, well, I just use this idea for something down the road. So a lot of times when I'm jamming in there and just like, usually like, what's that riff? I'm like, well, whatever. We lose it, but later it's like something I've learned from that riff, I'll take and put it into something that we do. But one of these days, I might write a song for Van Huskins. I write. Even my writing style has changed with this band, and creativity breeds creativity. Mm-hmm. Once Dan started writing shit, I was like, dude, floor is yours. Yeah,
have at it.
But I think it's good that it doesn't sound like a different band when it's his songs. It sounds like the same band.
That's right.
we try to keep that aesthetic.
Yeah.
You probably talk about how great a bass player he is too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's my favorite.
Told him that.
He's my favorite bass player in Charlotte by far. He's just so good. It's fun to watch too.
Yeah, he really is, and he amazes me when even like at practice and stuff. He'll just like come up, and it's like, man, it's like, do you just know how good you are?
I've seen him be like pretty much blackout drunk and nail it. Singing and playing.
He is
and then afterwards say, man, I fucked up so bad. I'm like, no, you didn't, dude. It's
he
killed it.
He is a remarkable human. He really is. I love the guy. But yeah, he writes. He's a very good drummer too.
Yeah.
And I've never heard him play trumpet, but he says he knows how to play trumpet.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, cool. No, but Dan is, he writes half the songs. Like I said, it's just, we try to keep within the same dynamic of sound, but at the same time, you can tell his songs from mine. You can definitely tell.
You can, but it's like I said, it still sounds like the same band. It's not like that drastically different.
It's still the same tones.
Right.
Same chords, probably, mostly.
Yeah, probably.
All three of them.
We got new songs now that we've been working on. I don't know what the future has for the Commonwealth. I don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I think everybody's kind of at this point just chugging along, going, okay. Well, I mean, there's some bands that are comfortable with getting together and jamming, and I guess so. It sounds like you guys are.
We have been, yeah.
Some aren't, and that's understandable. But it's like we talk about every week in practice. When we practice, it's like we don't have anything to practice for right now other than just working on these new songs and whatever we decide we want to play that week.
Right.
So it's not like we got to keep the set list up or whatever. Now, we don't have to go into all the details, but you did have a recent switch in your drummer.
Yeah.
Is Evan still playing drums?
He has been, yeah. Like I said, it's not my place to say.
Yeah.
You know, Dan and Richie had a falling out, and that's all I will say.
Yeah.
I was not there. I don't know what transpired. I don't know. All I know is that, Dan gave me an ultimatum. Mm-hmm. Either I find a new band or we find a new drummer.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you write half of our songs, man. I mean, that's like, that's like our catalog. You own half of that,
Yeah.
And so I made a decision. I said, look, I'm going to leave it up to you. So you want to find a drummer? The ball's in your court, man.
Yeah.
All right, I'm giving you free reign. Have at it. Evan was playing with Alohoa, Alohoa Broha at the time, which I think even they were on hiatus.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not really sure what was going on with that.
Are they still, they're still playing? Or?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think Adam got what I've heard people refer to as a big boy job. I don't know exactly what it is that he does, but I think it requires him to work out of town for a while. I don't know.
I got the impression they weren't done, but they're just one of those bands that play when they can.
I love those guys. I'd love to see them, make music again. I don't know if they are. I don't know who is, Everybody's in the dark about
it's just like right now it's almost like it doesn't really matter who's still a band and who's not, because on the other side of this, some of the bands that are still bands might not be, and some that aren't currently doing anything are going to pick right back up. Just okay, let's start playing again.
And so Evan has been playing drums. Like I said, we practice over at his place. Well, he's got the space for it, absolutely. And we've been working on new songs, and it's interesting. It's different because the way
the cat, Eric. she's feeling left out.
Practice with the Commonwealth now versus then is a lot different, even because Evan likes to record everything first. Mm-hmm. Then he'll sit down there with me, and he's like, "Okay, so how do you want the drums to go in this part?" So he's like mapping it out. He's getting blueprints down. Yeah. Whereas we just show up and just say, "Okay, we'll try this." Well, next thing you know, our drummer's worn out by the end of practice and everything. And Evan will sit there and he'll listen to it, and then he'll go back. Finally, at the end of the night, he's like, "Okay, let's do this," and we'll knock it out like that.
That's interesting.
It is. I've never done
it like record it on his phone or something?
No, it was like a Mac
gotcha,
thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And he could okay, so you want for the ride, I'm like, yeah, quarter time, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what do you want to do here? Because he'll record me playing. So it's almost like a recording process, but it's just practice.
That's interesting.
And then he'll go over the parts that I'm playing. He's like, what do you want for this part?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, can we try this? And like a crescendo here, maybe, And it's interesting. And because of that, our songs, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. We're not the same band, obviously, than when we first started 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
We are, but we're not. Most of the stuff we're writing now, it's heavier. I mean, there's a lot of power behind the drums that there wasn't before. Don't get me wrong. Richie's a solid drummer.
Yeah.
Richie kept it in the pocket. He's a good, solid drummer.
Yeah. Evan
goes beyond that a little bit more. It's like, because, he's a metalhead.
Mm-hmm.
It'll
show in the drumming.
It shows.
Yeah.
Get yourself a metalhead drummer. I remember the Reverend Horton Heat, when he first started out, he had a metalhead drummer.
Yeah.
The guy's using double bass on rockabilly songs.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was fucking awesome.
Yeah. That's like me and Matt, we talked about on way back on one of our early episodes. So my very first band, we used to practice up here too. But our drummer and our guitar player both learned to play along with metal. Mm. So we were starting this punk rock band, but me and Matt were still I was learning how to play bass, and Matt was a screamer. He was a singer. Mm. But we already had this backbone of like two guys that could play. And not only could they play, but they played along to heavy metal. So they kind of knew what they were doing. So we had guys that were actually pretty good at their instruments. And it makes a little bit of a difference. It gives you a little bit of even for the shitty punk rock band that we were,
right?
We had some cool solos, and we had a drummer that could knock it out of the park every time.
Having a drummer is part of the key to making any good music, it's any rock music. Because, I mean, you could be like Phil Rudd in AC/DC and just same thing, just solid in the pocket kind of drumming. Or you can have, some heavy metal shit, and I don't know where I was going with that.
It really does. Having a drummer that, now again, not to take away from anybody that's a good, solid drummer Richie's a great drummer. Mm. But anybody that wants to take it to that next level, like a drummer that does that really kind of brings the rest of the band up, too.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Yeah. Show me what you got. Okay, you're going to do that. Okay, well, I'm going to write a song that's going to, challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I encourage creativity.
Yeah.
I even told Richie from day one, I want you to become out of this being a better drummer. Be creative.
Mm-hmm.
Just you're not playing for social distortion. You don't need, be creative.
Not quite on my feet. Every couple of weeks, there's no one home and nobody's answering my calls. I'll be alright. I'm doing fine. Just go through the ashtray for the one without the filters. Let's smoke a Rose Bowl. Get wasted, not going out. Let's smoke a Rose Bowl. Not quite $40, but I've got just enough to call a tryst. Get 4 grams, now I'm in the cut. We'll be alright, we're rolling fine. Just go through my place, forget about the ashtray jokes and let's smoke a Rose Bowl. Get wasted, not going out. Let's smoke a Rose Bowl. Let's smoke a Rose Bowl. Get wasted, not going out. Let's smoke a Rose Bowl. Let's go get high.
A lot of people, just you want to find a balance between, playing rock solid and then, then being creative. You got to find somewhere in between that.
Find those little twists or whatever, the little things that hook people in.
That's what Ben talks about.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot in practice, doing these little things that make people listen and go, oh, what they do there?
Fool them into thinking that you did something
Yeah, like we're a better band than we actually are because we got these little tricks that we throw out every now and then.
Like certain nuances that in
Yeah,
the
like
song.
something that's a little. Most bands will just do it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we do it like this: 1, 2, 5, 4. You know, we throw this extra little thing in there that's like screws with you a little bit if you're thinking about it, but it's really not that special.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We're really not that much better musicians, but it makes us sound like we're better musicians because we can pull these little things off.
And that's great.
That's what we're attempting to do.
That's great because the way I see it, most people, it seems to me, have like, they have very short attention spans. You're looking at, okay, you're playing a show, and unless you're established, in the music world, multiple CDs and everything, but if you're just like, okay, that's fine. But if you're just like a local musician, I'd say nothing over 3 minutes, really.
Yeah.
Because people start to lose interest.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing without adding those nuances that you're just talking about. If you're just sitting there and you're just like doing the same thing, okay, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, people are like, okay, it's been 3 minutes now, and there's really nothing going on here except just the same song. And
That's why you take that song and make it a minute and a half.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've got a couple of songs that are like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Usually it's like kind of songs that are combined.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, they really drastically change at one point. So it's like, okay, there's this fast rocking part, and all of a sudden we stop and we just like, it gets real
Switch ups are
sparse.
good. I love switch ups.
So it makes it, it's all, like I said, even if it's one song, it makes it almost sound like it's two songs.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're
got
doing
it.
something totally different here.
I got a few like that too.
Yeah.
It's an attention grabber. People are like, oh, okay, that's a total key change. What do you do there? But it fits.
Yeah.
We have that song "Home" that we play. I do a total key change to an F at the end of like the second half of that song.
Yeah.
It was getting to a point where it's just like repetitive. Okay, throw this in there. Okay, oh, now that changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
F A minor G. So okay, let's try this. Well, the song's called "Home," so to me, I wanted like a chord progression that inspires that, to inspire that wanderlust about coming back home or leaving home or whatever, and I just kind of wanted that. To me, that's what that chord change, that key change in that song does.
Yeah. So you and we can talk more about Commonwealth in a little bit or whatever. But you also a little while ago you said how you hadn't started playing mandolin or banjo yet at this point when you were playing with Ghosts of Bannockburn.
Correct.
But so you decided to start learning that. Was that because of playing with Felly? When you started playing?
No,
with
I
Felly?
started playing. I bought the mandolin from somebody for $50. Mm-hmm. I was drunk one night at the bar. I said, "Fuck it, I got the cash on me. Why not?"
Yeah.
So I said, something to learn, something to play around on. Maybe I will learn it one day. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I didn't even know how to tune it.
It's a little different. It's like
thank you for
backwards.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube tutorials.
Yep.
And
I learned how to do surgery that way.
it's amazing. But I tuned it up, got some new strings for it and everything, and started learning stuff. It's weird because you play E A D G B E E A D G standard. Mandolins are G D A E.
Yeah.
But
you're right.
but the gauges are reversed.
Yeah.
The G being the low, the E being the high.
Gotcha.
And so it's like,
That's hard to rewire your brain.
you'd think it would be, because I tried to explain this to Alex about it. It does sound confusing, but once you figure out certain patterns, you're like, oh, okay, I got this. This isn't bad. In fact, it sounds pretty fucking cool. Mm-hmm. And so I've been starting to play that. Felly had joined Ghosts of Bannockburn at one point.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I started playing mandolin, was that we asked Fel to join with Ghosts because she can play guitar. She can take over my duties as guitarist. I can learn mandolin, and she can provide that voice.
Yeah.
That didn't really work out. They were ready to part ways with her, and I told them, if she goes, I go.
Yeah.
Because I want to play music with her. Mm-hmm. We're very good friends.
Yeah.
Felly and I are tremendous person. We are very, very good. We're very close. She's one of my favorite people.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
And PK is like, well, fuck, I guess I'm with you guys then. So it's like, okay, cool. And so I met an accordion player down in Atlanta. The Commonwealth went on a run with the Hooligans and Queen City Rejects.
Oh yeah, yeah.
and we played 3 cities and played a show in Atlanta. I met an accordion player down there. I had my Pogue shirt on, and he was all asking me, and he's like, "Yeah, I play accordion." I'm like, "Oh, we're from Charlotte. If you want to come up there and jam sometime, we'll be more than welcome to have you."
Yeah.
Well, he showed up with his accordion. He's fucking good, and so we formed Bottle of Smoke. Me and Fel and PK were just coming out of Ghosts, and our friend Brian, the accordionist, was here. And one thing is, he lived in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So
and has his other thing going on, Lucky Bastard,
Bucky Lastard,
or Bucky Lastard, Bucky Lastard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's one hell of a frontman.
Yeah.
He can get that crowd going and everything. But shows were starting to get booked for Bottle of Smoke before we knew what we were doing.
Oh.
Like we weren't. We were still kind of in the dark on some of these songs. He's like, "Don't worry, I got this." And he's up there with the accordion. He's like, but we're back here like, almost airbending some songs. Turn the volume down on that acoustic. There we go. Because he was so quick to get the shows and everything, but we didn't know what we were doing. And it got to a point where it's like, it was just too much for him.
Mm-hmm.
Which, Atlanta to Charlotte, that's 4 hours.
Yeah. That's an investment,
Yeah, it really is. And so he had musicians down there, and we're like, okay, well, cool, do your thing, man. Wish you the best of luck. We're going to keep doing our thing. I just started getting better at mandolin, as, the more you practice something. But I bought a tenor banjo, which those are normally tuned CGDA, okay? Mm-hmm. But the Irish strings on them is GDAE like a mandolin.
Okay.
So anything I can play on the mandolin, I can play on the banjo.
Oh, okay.
And so there's really not a whole lot of transition there. You just have to get the right gauge for the banjo.
Yeah.
And that whole me buying it was kind of serendipitous in its own way, because I'd received a check in the mail from my dad. There was a card with a check in it for X amount of money. And it was like, I was talking to your mother the other night, and this had been a few years since she had passed. And I was talking to your mother the other night, and she wants you to have this and do something creative with it. So I'm like, Sam Ash, let's go. Music store, let's do it. What can I love going to the music store. So we go down to Sam Ash, and we're in that acoustic room where they have like all the banjos and mandolins and stuff. And I was just talking to the guy behind the counter. I'm like, do you carry any Irish banjos or tenor banjos? He's like, no. There's really not a market for those here. We have the five-string clawhammer style, which is used for bluegrass, but there's no market for the Irish. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, fine, whatever. All right. So I'm looking around. And there in the corner, I see a 4-string tenor banjo. I'm like, I pick it up. I'm like, excuse me, is this not a tenor? He's like, I didn't even know that was in here. And so I'm like, we should be keeping inventory, but that's another thing. And I look at the price tag, and it was right within my limit of what I had with that check to spend. So I snagged it. I was like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
I had the money, and they said they said they didn't have it, and
it was there.
It was right there. It was right fucking there.
I'm buying this.
Yeah, I got to have it. And so I've been learning on that, and I love it. I love playing these folk instruments. Mm-hmm. Because it's such, it's fun.
Yeah.
Just like when I played bass with Chalkies, it was like me going back to my roots when I first started out as a musician.
Yeah.
Bass was my first instrument ever.
Yeah.
Playing bass with Chalkies, the songs were already written. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so you started playing, when did you start playing with them?
I wasn't in the last leg of it.
Yeah, just that last couple of years, last year or so.
Last about 2 years, last year and a half to 2 years. And it was so much fun. It's like we go to songs, knock out the set, boom, drink some beers.
Yeah.
And I love Mark. Mark's a great guy to hang out with.
Yeah, I know. We saw that last show at Snug Harbor. We had a show the very same night down at the station.
Okay, and, I think I remember that.
I don't ever like to leave after we play.
Yeah,
we played early.
I did it right.
But I was like, man, the Chalkies are playing their last show. So we hung around for a little bit of the band after us, and then we're like, all right, let's run down to Snug Harbor. And so we came down there, saw you guys playing, got back in time to see the last band,
Right on.
the last 20
That's cool.
minutes of their set.
Yeah,
I always feel bad though about doing that, but I was like, man, I gotta see this.
Yeah, there's a certain etiquette to that. You're absolutely right.
Wanna be Ringo and I wanna be boss. Made a deal with the devil and they all three lost. I'm still here, still talking shit. No phony motherfucker's gonna make me quit. That's what the fuck I do. Yeah, that's what the fuck I do. Hey, 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 that's what the fuck I do. Yeah, that's what the fuck I do.
So, did you get asked to join that band at a certain point, or you just?
No, I did. Mark had asked me a long time ago, and I said, yeah. Jimmy King had taken that spot
Okay, yeah.
as bassist. He played with
From,
them for a while. You know Jimmy, right?
Yeah, he plays with name that band, the surf band.
Yeah, Aqualads.
Aqualads. And
Yeah.
I couldn't think of it right away.
Jimmy played with them for a while, and then he left. Mark's like, well, the spot's open again if you want it. Mm-hmm. And so I said, yeah, sure, why not? You know? Like I said, I didn't have to worry about anything. The songs were already written. So all I do is just show up, you know.
Have a
play.
good old time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I'm thinking about doing something like that in the near future, like joining up with somebody that's got a back catalog.
They've already got
stuff.
their shit together.
All I have to do is learn their stuff and
Yeah.
go play for them.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to do like a second side project or whatever, I don't want it to be something I have to devote a whole lot of time into putting my stuff into. I mean, I might do my own solo stuff, solo project where I write some songs, but
Right on.
if I want to like go play shows with somebody else, I might just be like, let me just play your songs.
Just put it in like autopilot, you know?
It's fun, yeah. Like you said, autopilot is just, and you're still getting your therapy.
So did Mark decide to just end the band because he's just getting tired of playing? Or
I don't know Mark's reasons.
I didn't know if there was like, if the band just ran its course, had a falling out, or was like Mark was just tired. That's the impression I got, was Mark was just kind of tired of playing shows.
Yeah, that's what I think it was. Yeah. There was no beef with anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody was still, we were all really good friends. And Mark's like, okay. You know, like in Forrest Gump, when he's like, I think I'm going to go home now.
Yeah.
He's running across the country,
Yeah.
and that's his thing. And he just turns around, and he's got this following, you know, like the Chalkies. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go home now. And everybody's like, oh, okay.
Well, what do we do?
It's good to end on a high note like that, though, because everybody kind of wants more, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And
You didn't overstay your welcome.
yeah, I tell him, I said, you know what, Chalkies reunion someday might be something to consider. He's like, no, it's not happening.
he does every now and then say something about how he misses it.
I know, and I know he does.
Yeah.
You know, it's in his blood. I love Mark, and I'll support him whatever he does. You know, if he asks me to play with him again, yeah, hell yeah, absolutely, good times.
So we were talking also a little bit about. Did we start talking about Bottle of Smoke up here? We did. We've already started talking about it a little
we
bit.
did, yeah.
So Bottle of Smoke is you and PK and Fel, correct?
Yep.
So, but you've also got Smelly Felly, which is Fel's band, but that's you and PK and Fel as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? Okay. They're two totally different bands.
Absolutely.
The songs are from Smelly Felly are all Fel's songs. She
Yeah,
wrote those.
correct.
And then the Bottle of Smoke songs are group effort, or is that
They're just old traditionals.
traditionals? Yeah, I knew there was some traditionals. Do you write any
No.
originals?
No.
Okay, it's all traditional stuff. Okay.
It's good filler for, you know, a bar who wants to hear that kind of music. Mm-hmm. I don't want to remain like exclusively Celtic Irish. I want to go like learn some Russian folk songs.
Yeah.
There's a Finnish polka out there that we're going to start working on.
Okay.
Again,
that would work.
Which Fel can sing like in Finnish, so we're trying to get bring that back. I'm just try to expand. I love worldly music.
Yeah.
I think a dream of mine is like, you know how Anthony Bourdain went around the world and with all the different cultures, different foods. He sampled all the
Yeah.
different foods, and everything. I want to go around the world and do different instruments.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
You know, what is this thing called? How do you play it?
Oh, that's
How do you tune
that's
it?
a great idea.
You know,
You heard it here
I'll
first.
I'll cut this out of the podcast so nobody else gets this idea.
edit.
Yeah.
But no, I think that'd be remarkable because there's a lot of music lovers out there. So I think with Bottle of Smoke, I just want to keep learning how to play other things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, music, just like not even just the songs, but the instruments as well.
Yeah.
You know, my apartment's not very big though, so have to cut back on the wanting more things.
Yeah.
Wanting more instruments. But yeah, playing with Smelly Felly, like I said, I was asked, and I said, yeah, sure, absolutely, of course. There's been a rotating band with that, but it's all Felly.
Yeah, it's all her songs.
Yeah,
it's all
absolutely.
her.
I think a lot, and I can't speak for Felly on this. This is just my opinion, but seeing someone grow, and like as a musician, seeing someone grow as a songwriter, they kind of discard some of the things they've done and just go from there. It's like, okay, I'm not going to do this I Love You, Don't Cut Me anymore. I won't do this, song about sexual predators anymore. I'm moving on, and I think that's what, to me, I think that's that's just my opinion.
Well, I think her songs they're very personal. And so when they do become that personal, you get to do whatever you want to with them. And if that means I don't ever want to play this song again, then
Absolutely.
I'm never going to play this song again.
Exactly. That's why I guess practice is so calm, because there's no pressure on anybody.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I want to learn this. Well, you said you were going to cut it. Oh, that's right. Okay, cool. Moving on. And there's no pressure from PK and I saying, well, hey, I think you should bring this back. Let's bring this back. That's not our place to say it. It's not our shit.
You preach unity for social status. You bully people when they're not PC. Always thought that you would be for most forms of freedom of speech. Social justice warrior, stop your fucking crying. Facebook's not reality, and people are dying. You're politically confused. Let them have the right to choose. You're offended for someone else when they don't need you. So what's the use? What's the use?
Speaking of the common good, Commonwealth.
Yes.
I like that name. Is there any specific reason behind the name,
No.
or is it just like a?
To me, what it does, it represents like absence of government.
Yeah, kind of doing it on your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Running their shit their own way. And also, I live near Commonwealth Avenue.
Yeah.
There's that. But no, it's just, I don't know, it just made sense.
It is a good band name. It is really I always thought so.
Well, thank you.
But there's another Commonwealth though.
There's a few of them.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
See, when we were the accidents, we ran into that too. Like,
Okay.
that's actually a fairly common name. So,
Yeah, left them too.
I didn't discover it until afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, oh well. We capitalize ours.
yeah. And then whenever you do that, whenever you find that there are other bands out there, so we the only reason we really did it because everybody around Charlotte still called us the Accidents,
Okay.
but we changed our name to Los Accidentes, which is basically the Spanish way of saying it. Because back then on MySpace, we had a band page, and one day I woke up and got on MySpace, and all of a sudden the band page is gone. Your page has been deleted because of copyright reasons. Well, then I get to looking, and I'd already discovered that there were 6 other bands called the Accidents out there on MySpace.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's only one band called the Accidents on MySpace. There's some band from, I say Sweden. There's somewhere over there in the.
They've actually copyrighted the name.
And they were kind of getting a name for themselves, and they were a really good band. I mean, they were pretty good. They were, let's say, really good. They were kind of rockabilly-ish punk rock.
Okay.
And it was pretty good. So I wasn't really mad about it. I'm like, well, these guys are kind of getting a name for themselves. No, they never blew up. But at that time, I was like, well, we'll just change it to Los Accidentes. Everybody around here still calls us the Accidents. So.
That's how the goddamn Gallows got their name.
Yeah.
Was they were going to call themselves the Gallows, but there's a hardcore band from Scotland called the Gallows.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck it, we're the goddamn Gallows, and they're stuck.
Awesome.
Well, that's like, so War Boys, U.S.
Yeah.
It was just going to be War Boys, but there's another band called War Boys, I think, from England or, somewhere in Europe. So Europe band. And so John said he just decided to put U.S. at the end of it and has never had any problems out of it since then. But most people around here just call them War Boys anyway.
Yeah, we haven't had a problem. We haven't experienced any problems with anybody except, well, there was a band called the Commonwealth from Ohio, I think.
Didn't they play down here one time or something?
No, they are getting tagged in our, on our flyers.
Yeah, that's what it was. I think we actually did. I think
We've
I
never been to
tagged them one
Charlotte.
time.
They're like messaging. We didn't book this.
Wait, where am I supposed to be playing at tonight? Shit.
Right.
Millestone.
Yeah. Millestone.
Millestone.
But you also have the Commonwealth of American Natives.
Yeah,
out of,
we played a show with them one time.
Tennessee or something, or Virginia.
I think
something like that.
I'm trying to remember where they're from. I know we played.
They're
a show
really
with them.
good.
I didn't get to see them because I had to work the next day, like at 6 o'clock in the
They
morning.
were
So.
really good.
They are. But yeah, no, it's just, I thought it was a good name for a band. And like I said, to me, it represents, absence of government, people living together, making it work.
It kind of, in a way, it has the same kind of ring like the Commonwealth, the business or something,
Yeah.
Who would you say some of your biggest influences are as far as writing music?
Writing music? I like storytellers.
Okay.
Shane McGowan. And I'm not saying, but by saying I like that, I'm not saying that my songs reflect that, because they're not really stories.
Yeah.
But as far as like who I look forward to, just to extract any kind of influence from, or hell, even just fucking comfort, Shane McGowan, hands down. Strummer. I'm a huge Strummer fan.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
I love his style. Also Jimmy Buffett.
Okay. That's an interesting one.
I love Jimmy Buffett. I fucking love Jimmy Buffett. And people give me shit about it. It's like,
I was going to say, not many people will admit to that.
And he's a great songwriter.
Yeah.
Because he falls in that storytelling on that plateau. That same.
I can see that. I don't really get into him, but it's
lot of
probably
people
just the
don't.
style of music.
Yeah.
It's just,
I like it because it's just, beachy.
and he's one of those. We talked about this at band practice the other day. We were talking about Pantera and Sublime and how like there are certain bands out there their fans have made me like them less.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Buffett would be one of those that I would just, because of his fans, I would never like approach his music anyway.
Well, you don't want to go hang out with my dad, man?
I don't know. I just love the idea of the guy, he lived on a boat for years. He traveled around the world. He plays his guitar.
Oh, I get it. I
his
totally
boat.
respect the dude. I mean, he does everything he wants to do the way he wants to do it, and people love it. It's not my thing. But, and I always talk about like my dad's record collection. I'll be like, there's some good stuff in there, like Alice Cooper, and then there's some crap in there, like Jimmy Buffett.
And that's understandable. A lot of, he gets a lot of hate. I like a lot of bands that people don't like. Phil Collins.
Oh, trust me, I've gotten more to that point to myself. So that's why, like, when you say Jimmy Buffett, I'm like, oh man, fuck that dude. I'm like, nah, I can understand that because, like, even Phil Collins, I don't really care for him that much, but I've grown to love some of his stuff, or not love, but like some of it.
If I hear like stuff from like the 80s besides the one Unspeakable song by Phil Collins, I can appreciate some of their stuff, like
You're not trying to diss Studio, are you?
no, I'm saying I can appreciate Studio and like Invisible Touch and shit.
Oh, but
because those were on the radio when I was a kid and I was first listening to music.
I thought
that,
that's the
but
one you were talking about.
If I hear In the Air Tonight one more time, I mean, I might not hit it all.
And see, I'm conflicted like with a band like U2.
I can understand that because I love you too.
I think Joshua Tree is an amazing album. It's fantastic. I can't stand Bono.
Yeah, REM's. A lot of people don't like Michael Stipe.
Exactly, and
I
I
like
like
REM.
I like REM. I like the
respect-
early stuff.
But everybody that plays music is kind of an asshole. It's just different degrees of all of us that play music are kind of, I don't want to say narcissistic, but
Narcissistic.
there's a lot of fucking opinions in music, And
Yeah.
just think about some of the motherfuckers around town, and imagine if they got huge, how they'd be like, people be talking
all the most
shit,
insufferable assholes in the world.
Yeah.
But
I won't name names.
But as far as songwriting goes, I don't really model myself after anybody in particular.
Yeah. I didn't really think so.
I don't, but I'm a big fan of lyrics. Always have been. Get the CD, if it comes with the lyric sheet, I'm like, okay, I'll see you in the next hour.
Yeah.
And because I want to know where they're coming from. The songs have more meaning when I can fully get a grasp on what they're saying. Like I said, McGowan, Strummer, Cash. I'm trying to think of who else. I think, you know what? I think Eminem is a great songwriter.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't stand him. Early 2000 when he first came out, I couldn't stand him.
So I'm the opposite. I liked him when he first came out. Now I can't stand him now.
I haven't heard his new stuff, but I did. This was at early 2000s. I didn't give him a chance, and then I started listening to the flow, as the kids say these days, but his cadence,
Oh yeah.
his delivery.
Oh, he's good. Yeah,
And it's like,
he's another one though that the fans I think turned me on him.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I hate to say it that way, but
He's like LL Cool J. He's still a great rapper. He's just music's too vanilla now or something, you know.
I haven't heard anything
I
recently.
haven't either, to be honest. But it's just when he started getting kind of serious, it kind of took away from his charm in a way. Because his first music, his first stuff he put out, he was like a fucking asshole,
Yeah.
pill popper, everything, But then he started, singing about his mom's spaghetti or whatever. And he's,
Mocking the people that are hating on him.
Yeah.
And I think I like Rage Against the Machine. I think their lyrics are extremely relevant today.
definitely.
And I think I like Zach's style. So, like I said, I listen to a lot of shit that a lot of people hate, but I just look. I guess I can find influence out of pretty much anything. When I write, I don't want the melody of the music to coincide exactly with with the flow of the lyrics.
yeah, we
You know,
try to avoid
like-
that too.
We talked about that before.
Yeah.
That's what makes the difference between a band, like, say, somebody like, we always bring up Green Day. Like, they're just playing straight ahead 3-chord punk, but that vocal line is what elevates it over.
Right.
And I think what you're saying is the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to just sing along with the guitar.
Yeah,
That's what separates, something of worth from something that's just somebody in the garage, a bunch of kids playing. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? If you can pull that off, more power to you. Because I do listen to bands like that. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
If I write a song, it's like sometimes I'll picture in my head what it would sound like if so and so from this band were singing it, and that might help with the style of music or the style I'm going for. It's like, okay, well, you can take this guy from this band, or you can take this guy from this band, and those musical styles are going to vary greatly. So even though it's the same chords, how do you want to present this?
yeah.
So there's a lot of experimentation going on in my head. I hear, like, I'll have a song in my head before I even put it on paper. I can, I'll get a riff, and then I'll go to the guitar, to my acoustic, and make sure the riff is what I'm thinking in my head. Or if there's like even any kind of slight deviation from that, I'll go with that. Then I'll get a melody, and then I'll hear the bass and how the drum should go. Here's a breakdown part. Okay, you stop on this part. You come in with a snare roll, and that everything's planned out. And
If you need some water or another beer, there's more in there.
yeah, I'll get one. Thank you.
What you want?
I'll take a PBR, please.
Grab me one. Grab me one too while you're there, sir. You did make yourself useful today. But I was gonna say, like, influence wise, like Van Huskins, we don't try to sound like anybody, but we do like you do. We have, I guess, all our influences from different places. Eric's influence might not come from the same place my influence is coming from.
And
the
that's
same song.
and that's awesome.
And that's what makes the band become something of its own, and not.
I read an interview with Anthrax once, and they are. This is like right after Among the Living came out, like sometime in the '80s, and that's always stuck with me. Is like everyone in the band has different influences.
Yeah.
Charlie Benante, he was listening. He loved Sade,
Okay. Yeah.
and he liked a lot of R&B.
Ben loves Sade.
and so
He makes me listen to him just about every week after practice, or listen to her.
And and I think that's extremely helpful, And
Well, I learned the bass line to No Ordinary Love just because it's a badass bass line.
It is
It's the
badass
same
bass
thing
line.
all the way through, pretty much. And I haven't used it, but I feel like when you do try to learn different stuff like that, it brings out new ideas.
Oh, yeah.
so if you come up with a bass line, could you, like, say for that, could you picture another instrument like a guitar playing an entirely different thing, but within that same key? Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I guess I sort of. I mean, I often write, like, when I'm screwing around with bass, I don't say write bass lines because I very rarely write them. I just play them and it's like, okay, that sounds cool. I can often hear, like, something completely different sort of going along with it. And I've been thinking about trying to do something with that soon. Maybe for Van Huskins. Just trying to bring an idea and say, hey, let's work with this.
Yeah.
But I've got to play around with it. It's something I've come up with in practice, actually.
It's always interesting to hear other people's takes on it and what their whole process is. It's like with us, Dan will come up with something. He's like, I got this. And I'm just trying to find, like, the root notes of what he's playing. Because he's just like, all the place. And it's like, okay, now what you did there? And he'll explain to me. So, and then when I play it, it's like, it's so rudimentary. It's just like, oh, it's like a half step and then full. Okay, that's it. Cool. So, but yeah, I love working with Dan. He's open-minded and, like I said, he can turn any song into what you hear on our CD. He turns it into that. He's a machine.
Yeah.
You
So are there any plans to, you say you've been working on some new material. It's a little bit different than some of the stuff you've done in the past.
It's heavier. I think so.
Any plans on recording that stuff in the near future?
I'd like to.
Or?
I'd like to. I think what I'd like to do is get about another 5 or 6 songs. I know Dan's got I got about 3. I got one that's pretty much done. One that's halfway done. And that includes lyrics and everything. And then I think Dan's got like 3. We had some that we wrote before the pandemic. Between the release of our EP and the pandemic, we have some other new ones in there that we wouldn't mind throwing on something. So we might even come out with a full length if it came down to it.
I mean, we
might have enough material for it.
We've got 5 or I keep forgetting if it's 5 or 6 new songs.
I think it's 5.
I think it's 5. I think I was thinking of 6 at one point. But
anyway,
we've got 5, and I want to try to record in January.
You went to Brandon for both your CDs, right?
Well, the CD was, we recorded that with John Bowman. We recorded that at my brother's house, just about a mile from here. So
almost everything else.
Yeah, pretty much everything else except the first thing. So, trying to remember the name of the one. There was Jerk Store and Thray, and then the EP was Bless Your Heart.
Those are all Brandon.
And that's who we'll probably go back to in January.
Yeah, he's
at least 2 new songs, maybe 5.
He's asked us a few times to go up there. I love Brandon.
He's good to work with, but it is a little bit of a drive, and there's a lot more. If you need to go back and fix anything, it's not like you can just pop down the road. That's the main reason why. I think one of the main reasons why I went to Joey Park for our. Well, he did a great job on that. It was good.
He did.
It does sound really good.
And Joey's very patient, which I liked. Just the hours, he's like, "Okay, cool. You want to try again? Fine. I got no problems. I live here."
The influence of pop culture, so meaningless.
I don't know. It's one of those
Talk
things
shit
that
about some other bands. Come on.
I don't want to talk shit about them because, like, I
Let's go
know
talk
plenty of
shit
people
about
that love them, but it's just not my thing.
It's not my thing either, and I got into it just fucking bothers me every time I fucking talk about it. Is the term pop punk?
Yeah.
And people are like, well, they're pop punk. No. It's either one or the other. Punk is the antithesis of pop. You have pop short for popular.
Yeah.
Punk rock was against, hey, we're against the airwaves. We're against the fucking radio station. I was talking to my neighbor last night, and love you, Joe. And he was like, well, what about, he's like, so every punk band has ever been playing on the radio. I'm like, dude, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Okay, pop punk is an oxymoron. They contradict each other out. Well, what about Descendants? Well, back then it was just punk rock.
Yeah.
They didn't sing. Well, they weren't political. It doesn't have to be political. It was what the ideologies of the band represented. Mm. It wasn't because showing up to practice in your fucking pajamas if you wanted, because you don't have anything else to wear.
Yeah.
Growing up in poverty, growing up, not spoon-fed, not being, all these other bands on the radio, and it's just, I don't know.
I understand where you're coming from because, like you said, it's the antithesis of popular music.
Yes.
But I look at pop as more like almost like a genre of songwriting, like the Monkees.
That's such a broad genre, though, don't you think?
I mean, it is, but like I think of like
Madonna,
pop.
Cyndi Lauper, the Monkees. Those are two entirely different things.
I don't know. I don't know that they are. I don't know that Duran Duran's that far from Social Distortion, to be honest.
I love Duran Duran.
But so I guess every now and then I've talked about the accidents, and sometimes I'll say we were a little bit more poppy than Van Huskins were, which we were. I mean, but we weren't. I still wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that we were a pop punk band. We were influenced by Screeching Weasel, but when I think of pop punk, though, I think more of like stuff that's like not quite even Screeching Weasel.
Yeah, I know.
But I will still use that though as a descriptor for the band that we used to be in because it was a little bit more melodious. Or I guess.
Didn't say that.
We play melodious punk rock.
Anthemic.
But I'll say it's a poppier punk rock because it's I don't know.
When I first described the Commonwealth, it's anthemic.
Yeah.
You can sing along to it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I have to always say. It's got that anthemic feeling to it, like sing-alongs, like Rancid or
Street Dogs. I fucking love Street Dogs.
Yeah.
That good sing-along, fist in the air, bouncing soul stuff.
Yep.
Everybody's like, well, the Ramones were pop punk. No, they weren't. They were just punk rock. Mm-hmm. Growing up, there was no such thing as pop punk.
Yeah.
You can thank Green Day for that. They made punk rock safe. Punk rock used to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Because, my God, it was poor people. White kids, growing up outside the suburbs, learning to play instruments. You ever look at old pictures of Minor Threat? They look like they just got out of school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what they were.
And that's what they were. Ripped jeans and like cougar shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't like the label punk rock either. Mm-hmm. I use it for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
People, how do you describe your music? Well, punk rock, and I leave it at that.
Oh, same with Van Huskins. I'm like, I don't like to call us a punk band, but we are, because for lack of a better term. Because
what is punk nowadays? Back then, punk was just like, like I've already explained, the way I view it as. But now there's like, you got like crust, you got gutter, you got pop, you've got all. It's just like metal. It's broken off into so many different subcategories of what it is, and I just it's just hard for me to follow sometimes.
Yeah, and when you're in a band, for one thing, it's always hard to describe your own band because you don't want to pigeonhole yourself.
No, not at all.
And also at the same time, you don't want to sound like you got this big ego about yourself. You think that you're doing things that you're really not doing. So that's why most of us just say, well, we're basically a punk rock band.
But if I want to fucking write a reggae song, I want to write a fucking reggae song. You know?
And we'll do that. I mean, we'll throw a little bit of metal influence in here or there. And we've talked about doing some reggae stuff, and we've messed around with it. We haven't developed a full song yet with it. But it is. It's I think punk rock, kind of like Minutemen said, punk rock was whatever we made it to be.
Yeah.
You know, I think as long as you're doing what you want to do, and you're playing it, and it's got a little bit of attitude and aggression to it, there's a lot of things that can be called punk rock. I mean, there are bands that aren't really punk that I think are more punk than a lot of the quote-unquote punk bands because of the way they do things and the way their attitudes about things. Their style may not sound punk rock. It might not sound like the Germs.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, to me, it's not about style is what, you know, anymore.
But there's no way to really describe, like, to get to the nuanced description of, like, what Van Huskins sounds like without saying, oh, we're basically a punk rock band. But we've got some classic rock influence.
I tell people you're rock and roll, but you're heavy.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people, because I've talked to people, you know, what they sound like. Oh, they're fucking rock and roll, but they're heavy. They're fucking good. Mm. Here, give it a listen.
Yeah. That's why I think. Just listen to it.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what it sounds like. Listen to it.
Yeah, rock and roll.
If it grabs you, then listen to it more. If it doesn't grab you, then move on to something else. This has been a Gabba Gabba Hunt Media production.
There's more shit out there.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff out there.
Nowadays.
You tell me what you want to listen to. I can tell you a local band that sounds like that. I can point you in the right direction of a local band. If you really want to support some local music, tell me what you like.
Yeah.
And I can tell you what to listen to. Or you can go back and you can listen to whatever you want to on your Spotify playlist that you've already got written. I mean, you already got made and go on about your life. But if you want to support and learn about something new, there's plenty of stuff out there no matter what you like. You like the Foo Fighters? Oh, I got a band for you. You like Green Day? Oh, I got a band for you. You like Johnny Cash? Oh, I got a band for you. I don't, tell me who you like. I'll find you a local band that you can probably appreciate.
All right.
No, I'm not. I didn't pose that as a challenge to you.
Jimmy Buffett.
But go ahead if you want to. You can test me.